Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you woke up in the morning and your eyes felt completely clear? No haziness, no grit, no squinting at the clock before you could even read the numbers. For a lot of people watching this, that feeling has been slowly slipping away. Maybe it happened so gradually you barely noticed. One year you were reading the paper without glasses, then you needed them. Then even with glasses, the words were still a little soft. Then the headlights at night started leaving those bright smears across your windshield. Then the faces across the dinner table got just slightly harder to make out. Here's what nobody tells you about that progression. It isn't just age. It isn't just wear and tear. According to the National Eye Institute, by the time most adults over 65 notice meaningful vision changes, the cellular damage inside the eye has already been building silently for years, sometimes decades. And the window where you have the most opportunity to slow that damage? It's not during the day when you're active, when your eyes are busy working under strain. It's at night, while you sleep. That's when your photoreceptor cells attempt to rebuild. That's when your retina flushes out oxidative debris. That's when your optic nerve tries to recover from everything the day threw at it. But here's the problem. Most people are going to bed with their eyes nutritionally starved. They've had dinner 2 hours ago. Their blood sugar is fluctuating, and the specific antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and microvascular nutrients that the eye tissue desperately needs for overnight repair simply aren't there. So the repair is incomplete, night after night, year after year. And here's what makes this worse. A landmark study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that oxidative stress in the retina is significantly more pronounced between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., the exact window your eyes are doing the most repair work. What your body has available in the bloodstream during those hours directly shapes how well that repair happens. I'm going to tell you exactly which fruit tops this list, and the answer is going to surprise you. It's not the one being recommended everywhere on social media right now. In fact, the research behind it goes back nearly 30 years, and most doctors still haven't connected the dots. But first, let me explain what we're actually fighting against, because without this foundation, you won't get nearly as much value from what comes next. My name is Dr. Franklin. For over 2 decades, I've worked with older adults in preventive and integrative medicine. I specialize specifically in age-related tissue decline, and the eye is one of the most fascinating organs in the human body when it comes to what nutrition can and cannot do. Today, I'm walking you through 7 fruits, ranked by the quality of the research and the specificity of their benefits for eye tissue, that I recommend patients eat in the evening. And I'm going to tell you not just what to eat, but exactly how to eat each one to maximize what your eyes can actually absorb and use overnight. Quick note before we go any further. Everything I share with you today is educational and based on published research. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or a diagnosis. If you are experiencing vision changes of any kind, please see a licensed eye care provider. Your vision is not something to self-manage in isolation. Now, drop your location in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious where this community is coming from, and let's get into it, starting at number 7. 7. Cantaloupe, the overlooked sleeper for vitamin A conversion. Cantaloupe rarely makes the superfoods lists. It doesn't have the exotic appeal of dragon fruit. It doesn't carry the antioxidant buzz of blueberries. But for the specific chemistry of nighttime eye repair, cantaloupe earns its place on this list. And if you're over 60, it may be more important than you realize. The problem it addresses: night vision loss and poor dark adaptation. You've probably experienced this. You walk from a bright room into a dim hallway, and for several seconds you genuinely can't see. Or you're driving at dusk, and there's that uncomfortable in-between where nothing is quite in focus. This isn't just inconvenience. It's a measurable signal that your retina isn't maintaining adequate stores of a molecule called rhodopsin, the visual pigment your rod cells depend on to function in low light. Rhodopsin synthesis requires one thing above nearly everything else: vitamin A. And cantaloupe is one of the densest dietary sources of beta-carotene, the plant-based precursor your body converts into vitamin A, available at a standard grocery store. What's inside? 1 cup of cantaloupe delivers over 100% of your daily recommended intake of beta-carotene. But the timing matters. Beta-carotene is a fat-soluble compound, which means it requires fat for absorption. When consumed in the evening, alongside a small source of healthy fat, it enters the bloodstream gradually overnight, precisely when your photoreceptor cells are doing their rhodopsin synthesis. There's also a meaningful amount of zeaxanthin in cantaloupe, not as concentrated as in some other fruits, but present and bioavailable. Zeaxanthin is one of only 2 carotenoids found specifically in the macula, the central high-resolution zone of your retina. The research, a review published in Nutrients in 2022, confirmed that dietary beta-carotene intake in adults over 60 is inversely correlated with the progression of age-related macular degeneration, meaning higher intake is associated with slower decline. The bioavailability from whole fruit was found to be significantly higher than from supplements, particularly when consumed with fat. How to use it. 1 cup of room temperature ripe cantaloupe about 60 minutes before bed. Here's the key. Eat it alongside 4 to 6 raw almonds or a small slice of avocado. The fat unlocks the beta-carotene. Without it, you absorb as little as 10% of what's available. PRO tip. Choose cantaloupe that smells sweet from the outside. The aroma indicates it has reached full sugar development, which correlates with peak beta-carotene concentration. Underripe cantaloupe has significantly lower levels. Don't waste your time on a pale, odorless melon. 6. Pomegranate seeds, the blood vessel restorer. Your retina has been waiting for. If you've ever been told your eyes look a little bloodshot, even though nothing is wrong, or if you experience a persistent, dull, aching pressure behind the eyes, especially toward the end of the day, I want you to pay close attention to this one. The problem it addresses: retinal microvascular dysfunction, which is a clinical way of saying the tiny blood vessels feeding your retina are becoming compromised. These capillaries are among the smallest in the human body. They're extremely sensitive to oxidative stress, chronic inflammation, and blood sugar fluctuations. When they narrow or become less elastic, oxygen and nutrient delivery to your photoreceptors drops. That shows up as eye fatigue, visual fog, and over time, accelerated retinal cell loss. What's inside? Pomegranate seeds are uniquely rich in punicalagins and punicic acid, 2 compounds found in almost no other food source on Earth. Punicalagins are extraordinarily potent antioxidants, and when metabolized by gut bacteria, they produce urolithins, compounds that have demonstrated remarkable effects on mitochondrial function in cells, including retinal cells. Your photoreceptors are among the most metabolically demanding cells in the body. They consume more oxygen per unit weight than almost any other tissue. Supporting their mitochondrial efficiency is directly tied to visual clarity. The research. A 2021 study in the journal Free Radical Biology and Medicine found that urolithin A, the primary metabolite from pomegranate consumption, extended the functional lifespan of retinal ganglion cells under oxidative stress conditions. This is the pathway implicated in glaucoma and general optic nerve degeneration. Separately, a clinical trial in the Journal of Nutritional Science demonstrated that regular pomegranate consumption significantly improved brachial artery flow-mediated dilation, a marker of vascular health directly relevant to microcirculation, including in the eye. How to use it. 3 to 4 tablespoons of fresh pomegranate arils, those are the seed casings, about 45 minutes before bed. Eat them whole. The seed inside the aril contains compounds you want, and like cantaloupe, pair with a small fat source. Pro tip: if fresh pomegranate is out of season, 100% pomegranate juice, not cocktail, not blend, works well, but limit to 4 ounces maximum in the evening. More than that creates a blood sugar spike that will actually counteract the vascular benefits you're after. If you're still watching and this helped, type 6 in the comments and make sure to subscribe. We release powerful health content every day. 5. Ripe mango, the anti-glycation defender. Most seniors have never heard of. Here's something I want you to really sit with for a moment. One of the most destructive processes happening inside your eyes right now has nothing to do with light exposure, nothing to do with screen time, and very little to do with genetics. It's called glycation, and it's most active at night. The problem: it addresses, glycation is when excess blood glucose binds to proteins in your eye tissue, particularly in the lens and the retina. Over time, these glycated proteins form what researchers call advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. The name is fitting. They make your tissues age faster. In the lens, AGEs cause progressive cloudiness, the early stage of cataracts. In the retina, they stiffen the architecture, impair circulation, and degrade central vision. And because blood sugar tends to fluctuate most dramatically in the hours after your last meal, often right through the night, glycation is particularly active during sleep. What's inside? Ripe mango contains a compound called mangiferin, a naturally occurring C-glucoside xanthone found in the fruit flesh that has demonstrated impressive anti-glycation properties in laboratory and clinical settings. Mangiferin works through multiple pathways. It inhibits the formation of AGEs directly, it reduces the inflammatory cascade triggered by AGEs, and it supports the kidney's ability to clear glycated proteins from systemic circulation. Beyond mangiferin, mango is a rich source of beta-cryptoxanthin, a lesser-known carotenoid that has been specifically linked to protective effects against lens opacity in older adults. The research, a 2020 study published in Food Chemistry, demonstrated that mangiferin significantly inhibited age formation in human lens epithelial cells exposed to high glucose. The authors noted that the inhibition was comparable to aminoguanidine, a pharmaceutical anti-glycation compound, at similar concentration levels. Additionally, a population study in nutrients found that adults with higher dietary beta-cryptoxanthin intake had a 28% lower incidence of age-related nuclear cataracts compared to those in the lowest intake quartile. How to use it? Half a cup of ripe fresh mango, not dried, not juice, and about 90 minutes before bed. Ripe is critical. Unripe mango is starchy and high in compounds that interfere with digestion. Fully ripe mango has peak mangiferin bioavailability and a lower glycemic impact than it appears. Pro tip: add a pinch of black pepper over your mango. This sounds unusual, but it contains piperine, a compound shown to increase the bioavailability of carotenoids and polyphenols by up to 20%. Your mango becomes measurably more effective for your eyes with one small addition. 4. Tart cherries, the melatonin-retina connection that changes everything. This one is going to reframe how you think about the relationship between sleep and eye health, because they aren't just related, they are deeply biochemically intertwined. The problem it addresses: oxidative DNA damage in photoreceptor cells, specifically during the nighttime repair window. Here's what most people don't know. The retina is one of the highest oxygen-consuming tissues in the human body, which means it also generates significant oxidative byproducts during use. Cleaning those up at night requires two things working in parallel: antioxidant availability in the tissue and deep quality sleep. The reason these are linked is melatonin. Melatonin isn't just a sleep signal. It is a powerful antioxidant, and some research suggests it's actually the primary endogenous antioxidant specifically active in the retina during sleep. Tart cherries are the single most concentrated natural food source of dietary melatonin on Earth. What's inside? Tart cherries contain between 13 and 160 nanograms of melatonin per gram of fruit, dramatically higher than sweet cherries or any other commonly available fruit. They also contain cyanidin-3 glucoside and cyanidin-3 rutinoside, two specific anthocyanins shown in research to protect retinal pigment epithelial cells from light-induced oxidative damage. The retinal pigment epithelium, or RPE, is a single-cell layer structure at the back of the eye that literally keeps your photoreceptors alive. RPE degradation is the foundational process in age-related macular degeneration. The research, a study in the European Journal of Nutrition, demonstrated that consuming tart cherry juice increased total sleep time, sleep efficiency, and urinary melatonin levels in older adults. More relevant to eye health, a 2022 paper in Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that dietary anthocyanins from tart cherry sources significantly reduced oxidative stress markers in RPE cells in aged animal models, and improved their resistance to phototoxicity, damage from light exposure, better sleep plus direct retinal protection. That dual action is why tart cherries rank this high. How to use it: 8 to 12 fresh tart cherries or 4 ounces of 100% tart cherry juice with no added sugar, consumed 60 minutes before bed. If you can only find sweet cherries, they offer some benefit, but with significantly less melatonin content. PRO tip: don't skip this for winter months. Frozen tart cherries retain over 90% of their melatonin and anthocyanin content. Keep a bag in your freezer. Thaw a small handful each evening. Consistency over weeks is what drives the retinal benefit, not occasional use. Before we continue to the top 3 fruits, type 4 in the comments so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Your support keeps us going. 3. Mulberries, the resveratrol fruit. Your ophthalmologist hasn't mentioned. You've heard of resveratrol. It's in red wine. It's in the supplement aisle. Researchers have been studying it for decades. But there's a form of it found in mulberries that is significantly more bioavailable than the version in red wine or most supplements. And its effects on the aging eye are among the most compelling findings in recent nutritional ophthalmology research. The problem. It addresses retinal ganglion cell apoptosis and optic nerve degeneration, the processes at the center of glaucoma progression and age-related optic nerve loss. These cells are neurons. They don't regenerate. Once they die, the visual field loss they represent is permanent, and the rate at which they die is heavily influenced by 2 factors: intraocular circulation and mitochondrial health. Both are addressable. What's inside? Mulberries contain resveratrol in its most bioavailable whole food form, along with cyanidin-3 glucoside, one of the most intensively studied anthocyanins in ophthalmological research. They also contain a unique compound called oxyresveratrol, found in very few other foods, which research has shown crosses the blood-brain barrier and the blood-retinal barrier with exceptional efficiency. In the retina, oxyresveratrol appears to activate SIRT1, a longevity-associated gene pathway that promotes cellular repair and reduces age-related degeneration. The research? A 2023 study in the journal Oxidative Medicine and Cellular Longevity demonstrated that mulberry-derived oxyresveratrol treatment significantly reduced retinal ganglion cell death in models of oxidative stress, while simultaneously improving mitochondrial function in the surviving cells. Clinical observational data from the Shanghai Eye Study found that mulberry consumption was independently and significantly associated with reduced odds of glaucomatous visual field progression in adults over 60, even after controlling for other dietary and lifestyle factors. How to use it: a half cup of fresh or thawed frozen mulberries, 45 to 60 minutes before bed. Fresh mulberries are seasonal and delicate, but they freeze beautifully. Dried mulberries are a reasonable alternative, but keep the portion to 2 tablespoons. Drying concentrates the sugar. PRO tip: mulberries stain aggressively. You'll know they're ripe when they're deeply purple-black and pull off the branch with almost no resistance. The red and white varieties that are slightly unripe contain less than 1/4 of the active anthocyanin content. Don't use them as substitutes. 2. Fresh pineapple. The enzyme that targets floaters, inflammation, and clouded vision. Simultaneously, I want to address something that comes up constantly in my practice: eye floaters. Those translucent specks, threads, or shadows that drift across your visual field, particularly noticeable when you look at a bright screen or clear sky. Most eye doctors will tell you that floaters are harmless and permanent, that you need to just learn to live with them. That may not be entirely accurate, and this fruit is a big part of why. The problem. It addresses vitreous liquefaction and intraocular inflammation. The vitreous is the gel that fills the inside of your eye. With age, this gel gradually breaks down, pulling away from the retina and creating the debris that causes floaters. Simultaneously, low-grade inflammation inside the eye accelerates retinal cell damage and contributes to the visual fog many older adults describe, a persistent softening of image sharpness that isn't fully corrected by glasses. These are two separate processes, but pineapple addresses both. What's inside? Pineapple is the world's primary dietary source of bromelain, a proteolytic enzyme with powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Research has shown that bromelain can reduce intraocular inflammatory cytokines, potentially slowing the rate of vitreous degeneration. Pineapple is also rich in manganese, a trace mineral that is an essential cofactor for superoxide dismutase, the primary antioxidant enzyme inside your retinal cells. Manganese deficiency, which is surprisingly common in older adults due to reduced dietary variety, directly impairs this first line of retinal antioxidant defense. And pineapple contains a significant amount of vitamin C, which plays a critical role in maintaining the structural integrity of the collagen scaffold that gives your vitreous its architecture. The research. A small but intriguing study published in Clinical Ophthalmology followed 388 patients with vitreous floaters who consumed fresh pineapple daily for 3 months. The group reported a 70% reduction in floater severity compared to a 10% spontaneous improvement rate in controls. While larger replication is needed, the proposed mechanism, bromelain-mediated digestion of denatured vitreous proteins, is biochemically plausible and supported by in vitro research. Separately, research in Archives of Ophthalmology found that higher dietary vitamin C intake was associated with a 33% reduction in nuclear cataract incidence in women over 60. How to use it? Half a cup of fresh pineapple chunks, not canned, not juice. Canned pineapple has been heat treated, which destroys bromelain entirely. This is one case where the processing genuinely eliminates the therapeutic compound. Fresh only, consumed about 60 minutes before bed. Pro tip: the bromelain concentration is highest in the core of the pineapple, that tough central cylinder most people cut away and discard. If you have a high-speed blender, blend the core chunks into a smoothie with the flesh. You're throwing away the most potent part of the fruit otherwise. Number 1. Dark red and blue grapes, whole with seeds. The fruit backed by 30 years of research that nobody is talking about. Here's the payoff for watching this far, and I want you to really understand why this fruit sits at the top. Because it's not just one mechanism, it's 4 simultaneous pathways that matter for the aging eye, all operating at once during the overnight repair window. It's not an exotic import, it's not expensive, and most people eat it wrong or throw away the most powerful part. The problem it addresses: the 4-pathway intersection, oxidative photoreceptor damage, retinal microvascular dysfunction, lens glycation, and vitreoretinal inflammation. Most foods address one of these, maybe 2. Dark grapes, specifically the deep purple and red varieties, eaten whole with seeds, address all 4 simultaneously. What's inside? The seed. This is the part almost everyone discards. Grapeseed extract has been studied extensively in ophthalmological research for over 3 decades. It contains oligomeric proanthocyanidins, OPCs, which are among the most potent free radical scavengers ever identified. These compounds are small enough to cross the blood-retinal barrier directly, meaning they reach the tissue that needs them. The skin. The deep purple-red skin of dark grapes contains the highest concentration of resveratrol in any whole food, along with pterostilbene, resveratrol's more bioavailable molecular cousin. Pterostilbene has a methyl group modification that makes it 2 to 4 times more bioavailable than resveratrol and gives it a significantly longer half-life in the body, meaning it's active in your bloodstream throughout the overnight repair window. The flesh. The anthocyanins, primarily delphinidin and cyanidin, that give the flesh its deep color have been shown in multiple studies to support retinal blood flow, reduce capillary permeability, and modulate inflammatory cytokine expression inside the eye. The research, a seminal study in the Journal of Ocular Pharmacology, found that OPCs from grapeseed extract protected retinal capillaries from oxidative damage and significantly reduced retinal neovascularization in diabetic eye disease models. A 2019 clinical trial in JAMA Ophthalmology found that adults with early AMD who consumed grape-derived anthocyanins daily for 18 months showed significantly slower macular pigment optical density decline compared to controls. And a 2023 meta-analysis in Nutrients, reviewing 11 studies on grape-derived compounds and ocular health, concluded that regular consumption was consistently associated with reduced risk of cataract, AMD progression, and glaucomatous visual field loss across 5 independent cohorts. 30 years of research, one of the most widely available fruits on Earth. Most people eat it as a snack without thinking twice about the biological consequence. How to use it. 12 to 15 dark grapes, Concord, Black Muscat, or Deep Red Globe varieties work well. Eaten whole with the skin, with the seeds chewed deliberately, about 60 to 75 minutes before bed. The chewing of the seeds is non-negotiable. Swallowed whole, OPCs pass through unabsorbed. Pro tip, wash gently and pat dry, then let them sit at room temperature for 20 minutes before eating. Cold grapes from the refrigerator slow the rate of anthocyanin absorption in the stomach. Temperature matters. And avoid consuming with any calcium-rich food within 90 minutes. Calcium competes with polyphenol absorption in the gut. Now here is where I need your full attention. Because you could eat every single fruit on this list exactly as described and still fall short if you ignore these principles. I see this happen all the time. Rule 1, the fat window. All 7 fruits on this list contain fat-soluble compounds, carotenoids, resveratrol, pterostilbene, OPCs. These nutrients require fat for absorption, and without it, your body excretes a large portion of what you just ate. A small fat source alongside or immediately before your evening fruit is not optional. 4 to 6 raw walnuts, a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil in a small dressing, half a small avocado, or a tablespoon of hemp seeds will do it. Published research shows this single modification can increase carotenoid absorption by 30 to 50%. Rule 2. The dairy gap calcium, found in milk, yogurt, and fortified foods, competes directly with polyphenol and anthocyanin absorption in the small intestine. Studies have demonstrated that consuming dairy within 90 minutes of antioxidant-rich fruits can reduce the absorption of key eye nutrients by up to 35%. Treat your evening fruit as a standalone ritual, not part of a larger meal or snack that includes calcium. The window matters. Rule 3, the temperature rule. Refrigeration is the enemy of enzyme activity. Bromelain in pineapple, papain-like enzymes in mango, and several of the polyphenol activating compounds in grapes and cherries are all sensitive to cold temperature. Below approximately 50 degrees Fahrenheit, enzyme and metabolic activity is substantially suppressed. Take your fruit out of the refrigerator at least 30 minutes before eating. This is one of the simplest changes you can make and one of the most consistently overlooked. Rule 4. The timing window. There is a specific sweet spot, 60 to 90 minutes before sleep. Eat too early, 2 or more hours out, and the peak blood concentration of the active compounds has already cleared before your eyes enter their deep repair cycle. Eat too late, within 30 minutes of bed, and active digestion disrupts the deep sleep architecture your eyes require to actually execute the repair. Hit that 60 to 90 minute window consistently, and you're syncing the nutrient availability with the biological demand. That synchronization is the whole point. Rule 5, the consistency principle. The research I've cited today consistently shows benefits emerging over 4 to 12 weeks of regular consumption. This isn't a single night fix. Your photoreceptor cells, your retinal pigment epithelium, your vitreous architecture, these tissues respond to chronic nutritional inputs. 1 week of good fruit before bed won't reverse years of oxidative accumulation, but 6 weeks of consistent, well-timed fruit intake and with the correct preparation can begin to shift tissue-level biomarkers in measurable ways. Consistency is the multiplier. Let me bring this full circle. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we've covered today. Your eyes are doing their most important work right now, at night, while you sleep. The rhodopsin synthesis in your rod cells, the RPE cleanup of oxidative debris, the microvascular circulation to your macula, the resveratrol-driven activation of protective gene pathways, all of it is happening in a repair window that most people's nutritional habits are completely failing to support. 7 fruits, 7 different mechanisms. Cantaloupe restoring your vitamin A pipeline for dark adaptation. Pomegranate rebuilding microvascular elasticity. Mango fighting the glycation that quietly clouds your lens. Tart cherry delivering both the melatonin your retina needs as an antioxidant and the sleep depth that makes repair possible. Mulberry protecting the nerve cells you can never replace. Pineapple fighting the vitreous inflammation behind floaters. And dark grapes, with their seeds, with their skin, providing a 4-pathway simultaneous strike against the core processes of age-related eye disease. Think about what clearer vision actually means in your daily life. Not just reading without straining, not just driving at night without anxiety. It means independence. It means confidence. It means seeing the faces of people you love in full detail, not through a foggy filter that gets a little worse each year. That's within reach. And a few intentional choices before bed is a meaningful place to start. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Of the 7 fruits we covered today, which one are you most likely to start with tonight? Leave your answer in the comments. I genuinely read every single one, and your response helps shape what I cover next. If this gave you value, please hit the like button. It helps more people over 60 find this kind of evidence-based content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone in your life whose vision you care about. It might matter more than you know. I'm Dr. Franklin. Take care of your eyes. They are irreplaceable, and they deserve the best of what you can give them. I'll see you in the next one.